I'd gone out, I was very young, and I'd gone out to, play with the other children. And so I don't know what happened. So one of the children started calling me bastard, bastard, bastard. Go and call your father. Go and call your father. And I went back and I told my mother that boy that lives at 18 called me a bastard. I should go and call my father. My mother said to me, I did it when I didn't know God.
Hey, hello. I want to plead that you watch this video till the end. If you don't watch till the end, you will misunderstand what I am talking about in this video. Thank you and God bless you. All right, you are welcome to the End Time Truth Television. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are watching me from, God bless you. May I sincerely appeal that you like and share this video and give us your subscription if you think that we are capable of blessing you with our content. Now you can give us your subscription, and if after 1 month and you don't like what we're doing, you can as well unsubscribe. And if you wouldn't mind, you give us your reason why you are unsubscribing. Yeah. So this video, I believe, will inspire a lot of people. Yes, the very dark, undesirable background of Pastor Jerry Eze. Now, seeing Jerry Eze now, not many people would have wanted to associate with him, back then as a child. Of course, he was bullied. You are going to hear everything here. You never knew this about him, but he told the story himself. Kudos to mothers. By that, I mean to good mothers, because there are some mothers who are murderers who have helped to murder the destinies of their own children. I'd like you to hear this wonderful testimony. It brought tears and pains and agony. Unfortunately, the ending part of the story didn't taste too good. You will know what I mean. You will understand what I mean when you listen to the end. God bless you. Let us go along with Pastor Jerry Eze as we listen to his story. Please stay with us. Don't be in a hurry to leave the video. God bless you. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the End Time Truth Television channel. We urge you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell icon by selecting all, so that the next time we upload a new video, you will be among the first persons to be notified by Google. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, shalom.
I'd gone out, I was very young, and I'd gone out to, play with the other children. And so I don't know what happened. So one of the children started calling me bastard, bastard, bastard. Go and call your father. Go and call your father. And I went back and I told my mother that boy that lives at 18 called me a bastard. I should go and call my father. My mother said to me, I did it when I didn't know God. He said, but I know God now. He said, what they called you is what they think of you, but what he called you is not who you are. My mother said to me, from today, God is your father. Listen to what my mother said. My mother said to me that his own father cannot give him everything he wants, because his own father does not have everything. He says, but your own father has everything and can give you everything. From that day till today, I don't even care who is who or who is not who.
Now, this reminds me of the story I read about one of the inventors, I think Albert Einstein, that was said to, that the school found his development intelligence very deficient. And so they couldn't cope with the young child again. And they wrote in a letter, wrapped in an envelope, and gave to him to deliver to his mom. Now, when he got home and the mother opened the letter, saw what was written in the letter, she started weeping. And the innocent child asked, Mom, why are you crying? She said to the boy, I'm crying because the teachers in your school said that you are so brilliant and that you are the best in the school, that they are not intelligent enough to manage your intelligence. And so I've been advised to sit at home and to teach you myself. And so now I may have mixed up the words, but that's just what it was. The woman on her own tutored the child in the house until a certain level, and eventually he turned out to be one of the greatest men of our planet Earth in the world. That history cannot forget. So wise mothers are very, very important. Not the kind of mothers we are having today. Some mothers today, they teach their sons early how to drink beer, how to carry a bottle of Star Lager and put in their mouths direct, I've seen so much.
And I want to use this to encourage every single parent. Never feel I can't raise a great child. Never feel that my children cannot turn out right. Look at Pastor Jerry. And the truth is that it doesn't even matter what happened when you were in ignorance. That belongs to yesterday. It doesn't even matter how you failed. That was in your yesterday. But what matters is who you are right now. Take your seat. I remember my mother reminding me when I got in. I became a people in our church then called the Prayer Warriors and all of that. So, and I got in, I became part of the Prayer Warriors. Now, the demons, I say it all the time, that demons now are very digital, and at that time, those demons, very analog demons, they are not in a hurry. They do all kinds of things. There's a lot of drama and all of that. It is not now. Then in that former church, they used to pack mad people for us. Mad people. And everybody had their own consignment of mad person. So as you are coming, they are writing like your name and all of that. Jerry has 3 mad people under him. So, and the thing is that it was a church where there was so much. Growing up in the right place helps you a lot. Where you don't have to explain why the demons did not leave. They say that your spirituality has gone down if you do not produce evidence of how the demons have left those people. So it was literally a deliverance ministry. And then this was exactly what we're doing.
The next thing he says made me wonder how old he was when he was exposed to the ministry of casting out demons. It means that he was very young. It was very early to have been exposed to that.
My mother was not in that Prayer Warriors department. She was not. But every night, my mother would wake me up and tell me to come for midnight prayer. I remember my mother waking me up one night. I told her I cannot pray. That today's own, I cannot pray. That I'm very tired. So I slept off. The next thing I heard was Tawai. And that sleep left me. And my mother told me that, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying it exactly, that who goes for war in the morning and sleeps through the night? If I say to you, for the over 15 years of my life, I don't sleep at night just because. And NSPPD had not yet come up at the time. So when people sit back and say, oh, this is what we are doing is enjoyment, I look at them and I laugh. I am sold out for this. I wish I will even have the time. When you pray through the night and you do ministry in the morning, the puzzle, my wife will tell you, this has been our life all to the time we've been married. And then you pray and then you do. And it's been that way.
Yeah, the truth is that every successful ministry and minister is a praying ministry and a praying minister. There is no two ways about it. And that is why sometimes you imagine why people fake what can be real. Because whatever price you pay to the devil or the price you pay in deceit, which eventually will backfire. Now, I believe that if you are truly called of God and you also determined to pay the price and stay humble, stay quiet, stay in the closet until God decides to announce you, whatever will be in God. Okay, so prayer cannot be overemphasized. And so if you are part of those that are criticizing those who are making claims that they pray long, please don't. There is a reward. There is a reward to it.
And I want to tell you, it was my mother that started this thing. He said, you cannot have war in the morning and you are sleeping in the night. She pushed me into what it means to be an intercessor. She pushed me what it means to pray and all of that. Let me say this. I'm sure in my mother's mind, she didn't know, will this stick with this child? Will he forget it at some point? Would it be, don't call your children children. When you relate with your children, you are not speaking to their mind. You are talking to their spirit. A child can be distracted, acting distracted, and all of that. Please don't allow the distraction distract you. You are speaking to the spirit of the child. When your children are at sleep, open the scriptures, read over their lives, declare over their lives. No matter what your children are doing, speak. My mother was a master in prophetic action. And I said it at the last minute women's program where I was speaking, and I said to them, my mother would, while she is frying in the kitchen and all of that, in a local kitchen, our local kitchen, with all that fire and all of that. So when I come into the kitchen, my mother would drag a stool, those kitchen stools, in the kitchen, and told me that I should sit at the seat of the kings. That I should sit at the seat of the kings. That this thing I am sitting now, where I am sitting now, is the seat of everything. Is prophecy for my mother. She prophesied over everything. Things that made sense, things that did not make sense, everything is prophetic.
Yeah, the Holy Book has advised us to train up a child in the way he should go, because when he is old, he will not depart from it. So the upbringing of children is very, very necessary. As I was saying the other time, unfortunately, we're in the generation where some people who are not supposed to be mothers and fathers are actually giving birth to children. And so they are bringing up their children with bottles of beer. They are bringing up their children with getting the children familiar with the scent of marijuana. Somebody was telling me of a little baby of about 6, 7, 8 months, that the environment where he was giving birth to, the father is a smoker of marijuana. So sometimes if they take him outside of that environment, this child will be crying and crying and crying and crying until when they arrive at that area where the thing is being smoked. Once he perceives the scent of the smell of marijuana, he will be calm. So that is it. And again, there is this trouble. There's this problem that I don't know how to put it, but my people say that whatever a person calls, whatever name a person gives his dog is what the dog will bear. Some parents, when they are frustrated by the activities and actions of their children, the Bible says that foolishness lurks in the heart of a child. So when the foolishness of children, rises, some parents would follow it up with all kinds of cursing words. They curse their children, and eventually, except for divine intervention. Now, if the child grows up and those things begin to manifest in their lives, now the same people will begin to think of what is wrong. But it is actually what, you brought up. And the Bible says, instead of cursing, bless and curse not. You're not even allowed to curse your enemy. How much more your own child? Let us learn.
People of God, every mother here, you have the pictures of your children. Prophesy. If you find their clothes anywhere, prophesy. Anything that is happening, prophesy. And I don't forget, and I just remembered it. Ordinary wooden kitchen stool. My mother called it seat of the kings. Why don't you call your own child's dress of the kings? Find something, and because they cannot fail. They cannot fail. They cannot fail. If you see when your own destiny came under attack, you can imagine what your children are going through right now. And half of it, they are not telling you. Half of it, they are not telling you. And I say this because my mother taught me. And my mother will tell me, don't eat when you go to people's house. That time, don't eat when you go to people's house. It's not. And my mother will come back and then call me and say to me, you ate? I said, I did not eat. And then, because I don't used to lie, but I will lie, I said, I did not eat. So if I told my mother I did not eat, my mother should agree that I did not. My mother said to me, you ate. My mother would tell me the time I ate. My mother would tell me what I ate. And that was the one that I registered in my heart. I picked it up with my daughter. As my daughter was going to secondary school, about 3 years ago, I told her, let me remind you, I can see. Anything you do, God will tell me. And she thought it's a joke. Now there we did now. Anything going on, God will tell me. And so I remember her going back to school after her first year, and I said to her, what is that one thing you will always remember about Daddy? He said to me, Daddy said, anything I do, God will tell you. And I remember her guardian making reference to that and all of that, that Samara will say to her and all of that, that my daddy can hear God though. I cannot do anything now, because if I do, God will tell my father. Beyond that, father, mother, can you have a relationship with God that God can tell you when your children are struggling? Can God even tell you what is about to happen in the future so that you can forestall it? It will not meet you like an emergency. Am I communicating? You know, there are things that happen in my life now. I know I pray, but there's some that will happen. I will tell myself, that's my mother's prayer. I know I pray, but there are things that will happen. When you see the way they will play out, I sit back and say, Kai, that is a broken woman's prayer. That is a broken. There was something I've always shared this with you, how my mother, I got a job with a World Bank project on HIV and AIDS. Then I had even gotten a job with the UN. And I went to show my mother, and I said to my mother, our life has changed. I said, our life has changed. My mother was the most important person to me. So I went to tell my mother, now you will live in my house with this salary. I will change everything. I was excited, telling my mom this, telling my mom that. My mom was so uninterested. I told her, why? She said, everything you are telling me is not what God told me about you.
Now, I'd like you to pause a little bit and think a bit. Now, at this point in time, if Jerry had remained at this level that he was speaking of, you won't call him a failure. But look at where God has brought him today. But even on that, think of this mother who was not even satisfied at the level her own son thought he had arrived, and she was still looking far beyond what Jerry was seeing. Now, take a little, pondering and think of what if the woman aborted Jerry when he was at the formative level. Because in all these stories, the father was never mentioned. And from the beginning, you got to know that he seems to be a child born outside of wedlock. And maybe the mother never had the opportunity to remarry. And so the father seemed not to be in the picture of his life all this time at all. So you could imagine if the young girl that time took the decision, the easy route, to abort the baby so that she could at least regain her freedom and avoid the stigmatization that follows that kind of mistake. That time, not now. It is not now that even parents are sending their children out, to go and prostitute, to give themselves to men. So you can imagine the trauma of the woman that time, but she decided to carry the shame. Now, so many people have actually aborted the glory of their old days. Many people have destroyed their future, See, it is possible that God has apportioned for you that you are going to give birth to 5 children. All these 5 children will be blessed, but there may be a star amongst them. It is possible that you are a mother. When I mean you, I don't mean you, but then you can understand if it is you. Now, it might be possible that God has decided that you'll be a mother of a president. And unfortunately, you took in before the time you were supposed to take in. So probably you took in before the time that the Lord has apportioned that you would take in. And because you want to hide it. Now remember, those 5 children had been allotted to you. You give birth to a barrister, a doctor, a businessman, a governor, a president, for instance, and the president may be the first one. And so because you don't want people to know, the man who was responsible left you or convinced you to take away the child. So you did it. You cannot tell it because you don't know. You don't know. Many people have destroyed their future. So you can imagine if his mother had taken that route, what would have been the situation? There will be no Jerry Eze today.
Let me tell you, parents, some things your children will celebrate. You need to pray about them and be sure that most of them will not die in it. Pray about not how exciting it is means that God is there. And God, my mother told me, that's not what God told. That's not what you should do. Hey, as in, it's not what God told you. I told my mother, that we quarreled, that I quarreled with my mother. I say, it's not what God told you. What God told you is that, and you're telling me to go into full-time ministry. Which example do I have around me to show me that if I go into full-time ministry, nothing will happen to me? Which example? No example. Say, it's not what God told you. That I will serve God. I will serve God. If people understood my dialect, I would have spoken it for. She would that I should serve God. That what God is saying, I should forget everything and serve God. I should serve God. I should serve God. I should serve. So I asked my mother, I said, so if I'm serving God and I get hungry and all that, he said, if I die, I'll go to heaven. Because she too, she did not have an example of serving God, that you will be fine serving God. So she didn't have that example. All she knows that just do the right thing, serve God, and then die and go to heaven. To my mother, not me. And that's how I kept doing until my mother died. But see one very striking thing. My mother took ill, and then when I came to see her the night before she died, so I came to see her. So whenever I come, I'm always the one praying for her because she was sick. So but that night, my mother said she wanted to pray for, that I should kneel down, let her pray. So and I knelt down. My mother began to pray. For an hour, 7 minutes, my mother was praying. She was crying. She was praying. She was crying. She was praying. She was crying. And when she was done, she told me, nothing will happen to you. And my mother was full of smiles. And when I was ready to go, she now called by my Igbo name. And she said to me, that Shebi, I know that this has sick, that if I had what it took, that she will still not be sick. So I told her that I'm trying, that I don't know what else to do, that what is happening to you is not something that will kill somebody tomorrow. That I'm trying, that medications, we're giving medications. And she said, no, that Shebi, I know that I've not reached that height in the spirit where I can speak to this her sickness and it will go. She said to me, no matter what you are doing, try and get to that height where sicknesses like mine can hear your voice and go. And as far as I was concerned, I just felt like, she likes talking about God, everything, God. I told her, yes, I will get to that height where sickness is that. So I was getting offended. I said, look at this woman, all the trouble I'm going through for you, you are not appreciating. It's now I should get to the height. Come and carry me to the height. Let me reach the height. And the next day, I heard my mom was dead.
Now, this is the part I consider the saddest part of the story. Unfortunately, she died at the very formative days of her son's glory. Now, this is one thing that I don't know how to put this. I don't know how to fix it. But God is wise. That parents will suffer to bring up their children. Some are fortunate to live long enough to even see their great grandchildren. But then parents will suffer to bring up their children when their children are now standing on their own. When it is time for these parents to rest, the cold hand of death will come. A certain Cristiano Ronaldo still weeps, still cries whenever he remembers that his father did not see his glory days. The man died while the boy was beginning to become a man or learning how to be a man. The man died, right? Now, this is the saddest part of the story. And from here, the whole thing turned emotional, both in the congregation and even with the man telling the story. I hope you won't cry too.
The only word that came back to me was get to the height so that sicknesses like mine can hear your voice. And I made up my mind that whatever it would take, I wish I were me now. My mother would not have died. But it's not late. So what I could not do for her, I will do it for my generation. So when people say to me, calm down, you're being too extra, you don't have to do all these prayers every night and all of that, I would never want it to be said that a man prayed and demons ridiculed your voice. Never. So, sir, it's about how your spirit man is stratified. There's a place where you grow. There are things that cannot withstand your voice. Many years ago, this voice could not make it happen. But I'm glad today but it's an endless journey of continuing. So my passion for what I'm doing, my mother was my treasure. And I want to tell every young person here, please take care of your mother.
Now, if you are still fortunate, if you are fortunate that your mother and your father are both still alive, please don't make the mistakes that many people have made. If you know whatever you can do for your mother and your father now, do it for them. Listen, if you are not able to satisfy your conscience that you tried your best for them, if anything happens to them, you will not forgive yourself. You will not forgive yourself that you gave hefty amount of money to the church, but your parents were at home languishing in poverty. You will not forgive yourself that you took care of your girlfriend, your sim partner, that will abandon you at the slightest trouble you have. But your mother, even if your mother is 90 years old and you are 75, she's still a mother. In her weakness, she will want to take care of you. You are still her own, all right? So if you have your parents around you, you are fortunate. Please take good care of them. In as much as you can afford, please give them the best medical treatment you can ever afford, so that if anything happens, you will look back and say, well, I did my best. Heaven will bear you witness. Even Satan and his demons will bear you witness that you tried. I just mentioned church, not only church. It's not only in church that people, I'm not saying don't give money in church, please. That's not what I mean. But before your pastor's wife and your pastor become your priority, please, your mother and your father should be the first in your life, the first before anybody, the first before anything. Don't listen to that thing when they tell you that Jesus said, except you forsake your father and your mother. Not what Jesus said, do. That is not the interpretation of that place, because that is what they have used several times to make people turn their backs on their families. And they will suck you dry. Once they suck you dry, they will throw you away. Where are you going back? You are going back to the same parents that you found difficult to take care of. Please, I'm giving you an expo. Please take care of your parents. That is what Pastor Jerry Eze is trying to tell you. He's a pastor, but he may not be as raw as I am now. So take good care of your parents. Cherish them. Cherish your parents.
They are not perfect, but love your mother. You probably wouldn't know how valuable your mom is until you wake up and not find your mother anymore. Love your mother. Take care of your mother. They don't have to ask you for you to give them. I know they can be quite a handful most times. They can complain. They can do. Just be nice. Be kind to your mother. Please be kind to your mother. Be kind to your parents as well. Be kind to, remember your parents. Remember them. Show them how much you care and how much, if God blesses you in whichever way, let your parents feel it. Let them feel that God has blessed you. Let them know that God, you see, if anything happens to you, the side chicks won't be there. If anything happens to you, I'm telling you the truth. It's so easy how people move on. But your parents will have a hard time to move on. It will scar them so much. I wish I spent more time. I didn't know my mom was going to die. I wish I spent more time. I wish I did more. And that's what I keep saying to myself. But the most important thing is, on the Mother's Day, I had my message prepared, and as soon as I sat down through the service, my heart was just in a mixed place. Not mixed because I remember my mother. No, that's not it. But I just wondered, a woman who didn't hear any message about parenting, a woman who didn't hear anything about how to raise a child like this could go out of, a woman who was even flawed in her own right, but still turns around to do something that could make it. What about us? With all we're hearing, with everything, God raised us all up to raise a different generation, a different breed from us. And it's easy to say, God, bring my spouse, bring the man that wants to marry me now, bring my wife right now. Are you even prepared to be that mother? Do you even have a prayer life that can sustain? I'm not talking about transactional prayer life. You're prayerful right now because there's something you desire that God should do. But hey, away from that, do I have a system? Do I know that this thing I'm getting into is a ministry of its own? And the proof of the ministry is how each and every one of these people will turn out. Don't forget what I said when my mother said, what I cannot do, which should be a prayer for every parent and would-be parent. Lord, what I can't do for my children, please be that for them. When I'm not there, what I can't teach, please teach my children. What I can't give them, please give them. And my mother said, that's the reason why I will hold your legs every night and I will pray and I will cry, because she knew she was flawed and she knows there are things that she can't do. On a day like this, mothers, fathers, I want you to realize that nothing beats a mother or a father who is connected to the throne of God and who is ready to make the needed sacrifice. Every time I see people getting married and we celebrate testimonies on NSPPD, I always would ask myself another question. Are they ready for this ministry called parenting? What has God told them? What do they know about their children? Are they going to parent a child according to you are a child, or am I parenting you according to your destiny? It's an error for your children to turn out to be teenagers right now and you don't have one word. God has spoken to them. A few light years ago, I told my daughter what God said to me about her. And I told her that it's something that you need to pray and all. And this one, she came back on holiday. She told me, Daddy, let me share a dream I had with you. And she shares a dream with me. And she said, when she finished the dream, I said, wow, it's a dream that you need to pray about. And she reminded me and she said, Daddy, do you remember what you told me I just did? I said, I remembered, but I thought you had forgotten. He said, I've not forgotten, Daddy. And she said, please pray for me. I knew we were making a journey. It will all come together.
Well, anyway, if you're still here, thank you and God bless you. We've come to the end of the video. I don't know what you learned from this. If you're a parent, whether single or you're co-parenting, you're still together with your partner. Now, try as much as you can to bring up your children in a good way, best way possible. Now, nobody is saying that you should break the bank for your children, but give them the right kind of moral, spiritual upbringing. You know, sometimes I see people trying to compare our zeal for the things of God, to the Western education. Now, the two are very good. One must not suffer in the place of the other. As you're training your children, trying to bring them up in the fear of the Lord, religion-wise, teach them the right kind of religion, Christianity. Now, but don't teach them the other type of religion that breeds, laziness. If you teach them the right kind of life, Christianity, and also see to it that their education does not suffer. Now, at the end of the day, you have a real child on your hand. You have a true child, a child that you'll be proud of, children that will make you proud by the grace of God. It is God actually that brings up children. It is God that trains children. It is God, that decides and determines what children become, but you must put in your effort. I want you to realize that you don't have to give up on that child. At least up until the age of 29, if I'm not wrong, there is still every chance that child can come around scientifically, but there is nothing impossible with God. So with God, all things are possible. Don't give up on the child. Keep praying for the child and keep doing what you're supposed to do as a parent. and the Lord will give the increase in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Like the video, share, and let us know what you think about the video in the comment section. I appreciate you. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you, shalom.